Welcome to this tutorial brought to you by your friends at Biomed Buddy. The next series of utilities we want to go over are maintenance. The first option is rinsing pump. Rinsing pump allows the system to verify the rinsing or cleaning hydraulics within the system. It also allows you to perform the needle cleaning procedure as defined in the user maintenance section and also in the hospital's standard operating procedure for doing needle maintenance. The next option we'd like to cover is the barcode test. This will allow you to verify your patient sample barcodes. If you find that the instrument's having trouble reading them, you can come here, scan the barcode, and see whether or not the instrument is having a problem with your barcode or whether or not it's a configuration or setting error. Just take your barcode, scan it, and it should display the values on the screen. Compare the numbers that are displayed against the numbers on your barcode label to determine whether or not there's a configuration issue or a read issue. Moving along to the printer, we'll highlight printer and press enter. Here's where you can check the connection to your printer to make sure that there's no printer issues if you're failing to print out correctly. You can also set up the instrument to print graphics in this application as well. Moving on to saving, it's very important that you save your information regularly. In order to do that, we'll select our savings option, and what I recommend is that you routinely, as part of your daily or weekly maintenance, go in and save your test configurations, your system parameters, and your error messages on a routine basis. It's best to do this on two different disks, a disk A and a disk B, and alternate between your savings routine between those two disks. That way you always have one good working disk in case one disk should happen to fail. All you would need to do is to highlight those things you wish to save. You need only to hit the space bar to highlight the variables you wish to save. Once you've made your selection, hit F10, select Save, place your formatted disk into the floppy drive, press Enter, and then return to validate. We'll now take that information and save it onto your backup disk. This will take a minute or two in order to complete, depending on the amount of data that you're saving at the time. The importance of doing this procedure is highlighted in the event that you ever have a hardware failure, such as a hard disk drive failure. We can always recover your system and get you back up and running with a minimal amount of impact on you if you take the few minutes to save this regularly. It can't be stressed often enough that this is critical to your recovery in the event of a hardware failure with your CPU. Once you've completed this, remove your disk, and you're good to go for another week. Moving right along. Maintenance. These are the consumable items that need to be replaced on a routine basis in order to keep your system functioning at a high level. We can start off with needle replacement, and we would need to do a needle replacement whenever a needle becomes damaged or worn in such that your recovery of results and precision are compromised. First item we'd like to discuss is needle replacement. Needle replacement's required anytime you have a bent needle or a worn needle that's not producing the kind of results that you're comfortable with. The instrument will step you through step by step the needle replacement procedure. Just highlight needle replacement, press enter, select the needle that you wish to replace. It's going to say you must have a new needle and a mapping cuvette in order to facilitate this command. Hit F10 to continue. The instrument will then home itself next thing, in order to make the ease and the facilitation of the needle replacement, it's going to open the drawer to give you additional access. It's going to move the needle forward, and it's going to ask you to raise the panel. It's going to give you 20 seconds to reach in and physically touch the tip of the needle to verify that your level detection is actively working. It's going to then ask you to place your mapping cuvette onto the measure block into well position 16. Counting from the back, that's the 16th well. Then lower the transparent panel, and then hit F10 to indicate you've completed these steps. The instrument will then position the needle over top that mapping cuvette and ask you to lower the needle down to just above the access hole on that mapping cuvette, and then manually hit the X or Y axes, that's the front and back, left and right arrow keys, to position the needle exactly over the access hole on that mapping cuvette, and then hit F10 once you've completed that task. Now you're going to physically lower the needle by pushing the needle down into that mapping cuvette tool. It can no longer go in the downward direction. Once you've completed that, you're going to again hit F10 to validate the process. Once the instrument has placed the needles back in their home position, it's going to alert you that it's going to close the drawer. It's going to then ask you to raise the transparent cover and to remove the mapping cuvette from position, incubation well position 16. Hit F10 to proceed, and if you get a procedure is successful, then you know that you have completed the procedure and the mapping will now be saved and loaded into memory. You can repeat these steps for either of the other three needles. Next thing we'll just talk about are the syringe tip and needle replacement. Moving on, we're going to talk about suction tip replacement. Let's highlight that. Before replacing the suction tip, or gripper as it's often referred to, do a suction test first to see if the instrument is performing correctly. If the instrument completes this test successfully, it may not require a suction tip. You may just want to remove it, clean it, return it, and then test it again. If the suction tip needs to be replaced, follow the instructions as indicated. Let's highlight suction tip replacement. For this operation, you need a new suction tip or gripper. If you have that, press F10. The instrument is going to move the gripper arm forward. At that point, you can open the transparent cover, replace the suction tip. When you've completed this task, press F10. Once you've replaced the suction tip, lower the transparent cover, and the instrument will run an automatic test to see whether or not you now are passing the vacuum test in order to move cuvettes successfully. Press F10 to continue. If the gripper is now working correctly, you will get a procedure is successful, detection of vacuum was present, hit spacebar to continue. Next we'll talk about the halogen lamp. This is the lamp used for your colorimetric tests. Here you have two options, lamp replacement and lamp test. Prior to changing the lamp, it is recommended that you do a lamp test first. So depress lamp test, press enter. The instrument will then turn the lamp on, allow the lamp to come up to temperature. Then it will move the filter for the two optical filters that the instrument uses for various tests to get an optical density reading If the instrument passes, it will indicate so and hit spacebar to proceed. If the test fails, move forward with the lamp replacement. And for this, you must have a new halogen lamp and a screwdriver. Hit F10 to continue. You may see this warning, especially if you've been running the instrument, and that the lamp is hot. If that's the case, you may want to wait several minutes to give the lamp a chance to cool off so it can be safely handled. Hit F10 to continue. Physically access the halogen lamp, remove the lamp by pulling on it firmly, and then replace it with the new lamp, being careful not to touch the lens or the bulb. This may leave residual fingerprints or oil on the lamp or housing and will cause the lamp to degrade more rapidly. Hit F10 once you've completed this task. The system will now take the new lamp, turn it on, allow it to come up to temperature, and then once again compare the optical density between the two filters. And if the new lamp passes, you'll see this procedure was successful. If so, hit F10 or spacebar to proceed. You can also review when the maintenance was performed on this system. When you follow your hospital standard protocol and the manufacturer's recommendation, every time you complete those maintenance tasks, it is written to the log file, and you can review the log file by going here and seeing the dates and times these tasks were last completed. The instrument also gives you the capability of using this feature to rinse the needles. This may become necessary if you were doing a heavy bleaching on the unit, or if you want to verify whether or not a needle has a possible clog. This will allow you to remove the clog and or witness the dispersion of the needle flow out of the needles to check the needles for proper operation. And that concludes the user maintenance portion of the software application.